Hey movie lovers, I'm Alan.
And I'm Oliver.
Welcome to Real Movie Grid.
So today we're going to give you the spoiler-filled full discussion on Tomb Raider.
Full discussion.
Yeah.
I guess we are fools, right?
Yeah.
Let's start off from the top of the scoring sheet. Screenplay.
Screenplay. I gave it a 1. Screenplay was where I beat this movie up because it was seriously nothing but a copycat of Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. I mean, from the father-child dynamic to the, oh, I just happened to find my dad thing, to the traps and how the dad sent a notebook and the child brought the notebook when they shouldn't have. And the father sacrificed. It was ridiculous.
The bad guys, they got a wicked disease at the end. You know, similar to when the guy drank from the wrong cup.
It was ridiculous. It was literally a copy.
Those things are true. I would say that in the beginning, you know, we did learn Lara Croft's origin a little bit more than before. So, like, I guess that part you could say was original.
Yeah, it was the only original thing in the screenplay. I would also say that some of the way that the lines were written in such a way that it was, even if you had the best actors in the world, it would be extremely difficult to deliver them in any convincing way. So, screenplay, I gave it a 1. All
right, moving on. The pace, you gave it a middle of the road score. I gave it slightly below that. I didn't tank it on that. I thought that the forward, if you will, from literature, take that from literature. Forward was it was drawn out. Like, we get it. Lara Croft's trying to make it on her own. She, you know, her dad's company still exists, and she's not letting go to him being gone. But it took her a long time to become the Tomb Raider. I mean, it took her the whole movie to become the Tomb Raider, but
sure,
it took her a long time to get to the point where, you know, she was getting into the archaeology game.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting that you mentioned that, because now that I remember in the movie, they actually repeat that intro about the whole the curse of the Japanese queen and everything. They repeat that like 3 times in the movie in almost the same exact way. So it's almost like somebody took the script and copied and pasted it 3 times in the movie and just had this different people recite the same lines.
Yeah, they had to get up to 100 pages, so let's throw that in. Yeah. All right. Next, casting. Now, I gave it my score for a very specific reason. You scored it 1 lower than me. You gave it a 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. I just could not. I mean, great actors. You know, Vikander's a good actor. Walter Goggins, my goodness, he's a great actor.
That name is absolutely silly.
I didn't know that was his name.
I didn't know that was his name. Justified's my favorite television show ever.
Yeah.
And when we were looking at the cast list of this, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous name.
And then Kristen Thomas, she played Anna Miller, the secret bad guy. This is the spoiler-filled version, so that you better not be surprised that she's the bad guy. So she turns out to be the bad person in the end. Her performance was awful. She was so ridiculously stiff. And if she was trying to give us like that stiff upper lip British person who doesn't play their cards, you know, who keeps their cards close to their chest and everything, that's not how it came off. It came off like she was learning how to act.
Yeah. You know, from the star, you know, I thought she was a decent. She was cast well as a young Lara Croft.
She was good, and
she was physically, she was perfect for the role.
Yep.
She didn't have the charisma that Angelina Jolie did.
No.
So I mean, it's hard to live up to her. You know, she's definitely a legend.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, no pun intended, legends, Tomb Raider. All right.
Yeah.
But she is not British, and her British accent, like we were talking about, she said laters. I've watched a lot of British movies and TV shows, and it doesn't normally sound like that. Late us or something. I don't know how to do it. I'm not British, but it didn't sound like she was either. And you know, Goggins, he's usually very eccentric, and he plays a crazy guy, and he was subdued, and he wasn't he was the main bad guy, and he didn't feel all that evil to me.
Which I think they might have done that on purpose. They were trying to make him more complex, which I felt like he was more complex because
I don't know. Do you think the script was that smart?
Oh man, fair enough, fair point.
I thought the cinematography was it wasn't great.
It was definitely below average.
Yeah. I felt, it was a little busy at times. The camera moved a little quickly. It wasn't shaky, but
the first scenes were. There's a scene at the beginning of the movie where she's fighting in a ring, like, she's a trained fighter, and that fight scene in particular, as well as the bicycle chase scene, were both kind of excessively shaky cam. They weren't like Michael Bay bad, but they were on the way to that.
They were not below that bar.
Yeah.
Next up is design. Now, I gave it a 3 and you gave it a 4. Yeah. I gave it a 3 because I thought like the overall design was really awesome. I mean, they really embodied the video games to me. But the editing, the special effects were not on the same level as the set, basically. Mm-hmm. The one that really stuck in my mind was, Laura walks out into the mine for the first time, or where they're working to find this tomb, and there's an explosion. They blew up a rock. Mm-hmm. You're telling me you can't go to a quarry or just blow up a rock? It's like one stick of dynamite. I'm sure it was in the budget, but they had to. You know what I mean? Like it was just. Wow, there was no dust from it. It just didn't look like a rock blowing up, which is.
How do you fail at making a rock look like it blew up?
There's plenty of other examples of that, but that was the most glaring to me. So for this category, the beautiful islands and her mansion were all perfect. Mm-hmm. Just the editing was bad.
Yeah, I agree. So it was like the same thing as you said, as far as the set. The sets were great. The jungles were really cool. They were very crowded and dark, which was I liked about the way that they filmed the jungle. Sometimes we get jungles in some movies that are like all bright and sunny. It's like that's not really what jungles look like. The island, the ocean that was crashing, all that stuff looked really good. But yeah, you're right. The CGI was not good. But thankfully, I think
same with the boat. The boat just whenever it was breaking apart against the rocks, there was no boat there.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess my take on that would be that there were only a few times where they were using CGI to that effect, to where I could live without grading it lower based on the CGI. They weren't using so much CGI that it bothered me.
Okay, that's fair. So the audio's up next. So that's the soundtrack and the special effects noises. You had a little bit stronger opinions on this than me, so why don't you go?
Yeah,
go
well, okay. So the soundtrack was awful. Like
that's true.
Yeah, the sound effects were below average, but the soundtrack itself was it's like they picked songs that were on like a weird late 90s electronic track that would have gone in the video game and then they played that for like all the angsty kids who wanted to just play the video game. But it's like, no, this is a movie for people that you want lots of different people to consume. So yeah.
You have a point, though it didn't make me feel like I was... The soundtrack didn't make me feel like I was playing back on PS1, but you have a good point there. So the WoW, it was... You gave it a middle of the road, I gave it below that because, I didn't leave the movie saying, well, there were some problems, but I still enjoyed it. I didn't really enjoy it. By the end, I felt like I was working my way through it.
Okay, that's fair. I actually think the movie picked up a little bit getting towards the end,
when it became more Indiana Jones-like?
When it became more Indiana Jones-like, because at least I enjoyed Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. So it's like the more Indiana Jones it became like, as much as it was just a copycat, which is why I tanked it on Screenplay, the wow factor was like, okay, at least I can sit through this. It's basically just a remake, at that point.
And last is genre. So, genre... It's definitely an action movie.
Yes.
And then I would say it's slash superhero. No, sorry, slash
Video game.
slash video game. And like we said in the review video, there are a lot of really bad video game movies out there. What really sticks in mind is Assassin's Creed, which is a game series that I loved, and that movie was painful.
Never watch Assassin's Creed if you can
watch
help it.
But so that movie's painful for me. So this, as far as video game movies go, I think it was pretty high. Max Payne was another. What was going on in that one? But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as video game movies go, this was better than them. So yeah, if in comparison,
From your grade, you'd say it's average.
I mean,
That's the action movie part.
Yeah, it's
Balancing it
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just couldn't give it higher than a 3.
No.
I just couldn't. Yeah. So if you have any other comments that you want to add, feel free to throw them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, find us on Facebook and Twitter, and join in the comments below and let us know what you think on how we can improve the Real Movie Grade system.
What are you, an auctioneer? Hey, don't forget to watch the playlist to my left. What is Real Movie Grade? It's going to help you better understand the Real Movie Grade system.